Good morning, everybody. I am Yasha Franklin Hodge, the chair of the Public Improvement Commission, and I call to order the PIC hearing of November 7th, 2024. Mr. Blimey, would you please take a roll call?
Certainly. Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state their name for the record?
Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Property Management Department, please do the same.
Joseph Callahan.
Transportation Department.
Morning.
Inspectional Services Department.
Brian Rowan.
Water and Sewer Commission.
Denise Devlin.
And Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
Sarah Leon.
We have a full quorum.
All right, thank you very much, Todd. Our first item today, as usual, is the hearing minutes. At the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on October 24th, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 24, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to our next item, public hearing continued, number 1, on a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, traffic signal infrastructure, street lighting infrastructure, hydrants, driveway curb cuts, raised crosswalks, protected bicycle facilities, and median islands. Old Colony Avenue, generally between Joseph Agri Street and Mitchell Street. Dorchester Street, generally between Tuckerman Street and Reverend Richard A. Burke Street. Mitchell Street, generally at Old Colony Avenue. This was new business on September 26th, with public hearings on October 10th and October 24th. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, Old Colony Avenue and Dorchester Street, South Boston, 5 sheets dated November 6, 2024. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us a very brief reintroduction to the project, and let us know about the changes we've all been awaiting.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. John Monicelli with the Public Works Infrastructure and Design Team. I'm joined here by the consultants, at least Lisa is here from VHB. We did request the continuances to better coordinate with the development, specifically at 267 on that corner on the southwest of the page here. We did resolve the kind of who's doing what question, which was the biggest question mark for us. There is 1 or 2 small details with the Public Works street lighting teams to get their notes correct on these plans. And I think it relates mostly to dead-ending certain conduit runs so that there isn't live feeds while the development versus our work is happening. So we just have to get whatever the wording and the specs are from them for that. But overall, I think the biggest issues have been resolved here. I'm sorry, general overview, apologies. This intersection here has a high history of crashes, mostly vehicle to vehicle, based on the multiple lanes of Old Colony and the connecting diagonal corridor of Dorchester Street. Oftentimes we have permissive left turns ending in vehicle to vehicle crashes, and subsequently jeopardizing the life and safety of non-vehicular users in the intersection as well. We have met with the community. We've been working with these developers, as I said, on all 3.5 corners of the intersection, and it will support our projects moving forward on Dorchester Street specifically, and then hopefully in the future more up Old Colony as more developments kind of trigger in. The majority of this work is to reconstruct the sidewalks, to relocate signal equipment and lighting, to improve accessibility and kind of reclaim areas within the intersection to make those turns safer and more visible for folks.
Thank you very much, John. Commissioners, any questions? Hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
We'll just ask that the street lighting comments be incorporated into the final Mylars before the project team submits those. Other than that, we have no concerns.
All right. Seeing no raised hands for public comment, do I hear a motion to approve? Public hearing continued, number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs in Old Colony Avenue, Dorchester Street, and Mitchell Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much. Appreciate the work to get this project here and to work through these final details over the last month. So thank you.
Appreciate the
again,
help.
John, and
Thank you,
Yep.
commissioners. Thank you.
All right, on to our next item. So we have a series of 6, I believe, public hearings, all connected to the same project. We are going to read these one at a time since there are a number of different actions. And I think what I would ask of the proponents is to give your sort of brief project reintroduction once, and then we'll work through each of the individual actions one at a time as we go through. So if there are updates, for example, to specific repairs plans, we can wait till we get to the specific repairs before diving into the details of what those updates are. But I will ask you to give just a very brief reintroduction to the project as a whole as we start out. So with that, public hearing number 1. On a petition by the President and Fellows of Harvard College for the line and grade approval and acceptance of a highway easement for a new public way in Brighton to be known as Trotting Avenue, located generally east of Stadium Road, from Western Avenue to a point approximately 631 feet southerly. This was new business on October 10th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Line and Grade Plan, Trotting Avenue, Public Way, Alston, 4 sheets dated November 7th, 2024. The proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us that brief reintroduction to the project, and then walk us through any changes as it relates to this particular action since your new business hearing.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Franklin Hodge, PIC commissioners, and members of the public. My name is Shallon Fitzgerald, infrastructure for Harvard University's Harvard Alston Land Company. I'm joined today by Chris Lovett from VHB, who will introduce the project and any updates we've had since the new business hearing. Chris, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, everyone. I will share my screen. Walk through. Can folks see that screen? Yes, okay. So I just wanted to give it, we have 6 petitions in front of you. I will give an introduction of the overall project that'll relate to all 6 of the petitions. And I understand we'll walk through each of the actions individually. So these streets, Trotting Ave, Milestone Street, and Naxa Way, are part of Phase 1 roadways of the ERC project, Enterprise Research Campus at Harvard. This slide here is from the 2018 framework and PDA network. The tan box here is Phase 1 of that. It's a 14-acre area, and our streets will sit within that. The names have changed since then. This goes back a ways. And there's been a lot of conversation and changes through the process, but this also shows that the much longer term build out, which over time will include a connection to Cambridge Street, which would be brought at grade, and this is tied to the straightening of the Mass Pike project. Here, this kind of zooms in on the project site itself. So kind of the roadways that we're here to talk to form this U around the development site. So this is the development site was permitted through the PDA process by Tishman Speyer as a developer, but there's 3 buildings, a lab building, hotel and residence building, and the Harvard Conference Center as part of the project. And then there's a large greenway public open space that includes a shared use path and large walking areas and plazas. And a key to point out on this is Harvard's district energy facility, which serves their holdings in Alston. And it's the academic holdings. So it includes the Science and Engineering Center out to the west, the business school, to the north, and there's crossings of multiple crossings of Western Ave and also crossings of North Harbor to serve other portions of the campus. But this is the heart of it, and that comes into play later when we talk about the vertical discontinuances and the amount of infrastructure and utilities running to and from this building to serve Harvard's campus. Well, we have the big picture here. I just did want to point out a few things. The light blue on these are the sidewalks, so sidewalks on both sides of all these streets that we'll be talking to. There are, the orange on these is either ADA drop-offs areas or ADA parking spaces, and those will include an at-grade island, street level island, and then ramp up onto the sidewalks, so providing better accommodations to that. This here on Trotting Ave, this is a raised crossing. This will tie into the existing shared use path that runs west out through Rena Path in the park and then out to North Harvard Street. And then based on conversations, ongoing conversations we have with the project, this will be a raised crossing of Milestone as well. And the shared use path will, that will connect pedestrians, but also the northbound cycle track connection would be here. As we talk through the plans, we'll also talk about modifications we've made here to make this a perpendicular crossing as opposed to an apex ramp. And we've made some adjustments to make these ramps shallower, 3-inch transition as opposed to the typical 6 or 7-inch. So this will be a 4% as opposed to an 8% ramp. We'll go through there. And then all of the driveways through the sites, so there's one at the hotel, there's one, this is access into parking for the lab in the whole site. The parking is underneath the buildings. This is loading for the lab, and this is loading for the conference center. All of those crossings will have a City of Boston driveway concrete apron, and all the crossings, the pedestrian and bike crossings, will be at grade. And then extending to the south, so that's this piece here, this is interim trotting. Long term, this will connect to Cambridge Street. In the short term, this will be maintained as a driveway that goes out to Wyndham Street, connecting into the existing Olney Street, and then following that connection out to Wyndham. This is just a figure from the Tishman Speyer BPDA filings, but just mostly really wanted to show the connectivity of the shared use path that'll come through this raised crossing, and then the greenway in the shared use path that runs through here. It connects out to the cycle track and sidewalks on the east side of Milestone. And also showing that the treehouses, the conference center is a little bit pushed off the road as compared to the other buildings, and the office labs a little bit off as well. And then I just want to thank the Boston team through this process. It's been a long process, but it's been a good process, and we've made some changes with the plans along the way that I think have led to a better design and incorporated a lot of input that the city has had in advancing the project. So we would like to jump into the actual petition now. So the public hearing for petition 1 had open, and this is for the line and grade approval for Trotting Avenue as a public way. Again, we talked a little bit about this, but the railway will have, there'll be on each side of the street, this has an 8-foot sidewalk and a 5-foot cycle track on both sides. In between, there will be hardscape areas, furnishing zones, and some bump outs along the corridor to provide either some planting or some additional hardscape space. This is the Western Ave connection. Western Ave is part of Western Ave improvements, are part of the Tishman Speyer development project. They are actively working with the city now, and recently the 75% plans have been submitted. So my understanding is their intention is to come before this board, this commission, once they have those comments from the 75% plan review. So they're hoping that that is going to happen within the next couple of months. But that these show a coordination of the connection to the Western Ave and the sidewalk level cycle accommodations as well. So this also shows the lighting. We've worked with the City of Boston Lighting Department. This is consistent with the overall Austin lighting plans that has been carried through the Western Ave corridor by Harvard, including the Science and Engineering Complex. And that includes a tighter spacing with a mix of higher and lower levels to make sure that it really focuses on pedestrian level lighting and making sure that that's accommodating. And this here is the accessible drop-off spot. This aligns with the entry to the residential building on this corner. And the greenway sits here, so it provides good proximity to both the greenway and the residential building. And then here you can see the start of the raised crossing. That's it. This here is the raised crossing connecting out to the shared use path. And this will be the future science drive longer term, but the bike shared use path will continue out to the west through the science complex and into Rita Path. And this brings us down. There's some parking on the streets, and then there's a mix of bump outs as well to provide some additional landscape. This here is the crossing of Axel Way, and as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that were discussed was we had looked at trying to make, there was some challenge in terms of making this an at-grade crossing for the sidewalks, but we were able to make accommodations so that this is just the 4% drop transition through here, tying back in across to the south side of Axel. And then at the end here, there is room for fire apparatus to make this turn. Axel Way is just to the east here, and we'll provide accommodation to circle through the ERC campus phase 1 roadways, but as part of the process, we've established that we can do that turnaround just within the public right-of-way components of the project. So that's, I guess that's a description of Trotting Ave, and I could turn it over to see if there's any questions or comments.
Commissioners, questions? Hearing none. PIC staff or members of the public?
I will take this opportunity to remind the public, if you wish to ask questions or add testimony, please use the raised hand function at the bottom of your screen. I believe that PIC's legal counsel, Chung Lu, may have had a comment on this one. Chung, I didn't notice if you were on or not. Maybe not.
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. Hi, Chung.
Yeah, hi, I apologize, and I have a slight technical difficulties, and I just want to point that out. I received a draft highway easement for both Trotting Ave and Milestone, which is highway easement agreement, and the draft appear to be okay. And I would say I have no other issues other than the PIC approves easement to drawing. So I just want to put that on the record. I really appreciate Harvard legal to counsel to work with me, and in the last couple of days, a lot of phone calls, and I appreciate that. It appears the highway easement agreement is okay. Thank you.
All right, hearing nothing else. Todd, any final words on this one?
No, the project team and their consultants have worked really, really diligently with us on this entire project, and it's been kind of a long road to get here. So it's worth mentioning. I just really appreciate all of the cooperation and coordination that they've gone through. They've done a great job, but we're all set.
All right. Yeah, sharing that appreciation as well. Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 1?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the president and fellows of Harvard College for the line and grade approval of Trotting Ave as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 2, on a petition by the President and Fellows of Harvard College for the line and grade approval and the acceptance of a highway easement for a new public way in Brighton to be known as Milestone Street, located generally west of Soldiers Field Road from Western Avenue to a point approximately 647 feet southerly. This was new business on October 10th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Line and Grade Plan Milestone Street, Public Way, Alston, 4 sheets dated November 7th, 2024. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves and give us an overview of what is planned. Excuse me, we'll skip the overview since we have the high level, but please walk us through the specifics of this particular line and grade plan and any changes since your new business hearing.
I'm having this here is. Apologize, I'm going to stop the share and try to restart it. Okay, there.
Chris, if necessary, I can try to share the plans while you present or speak, if that's helpful.
I also have the deck available, Chris, if that's helpful.
Okay, let me. All right, I think I got it. All right.
Great, thanks.
Sorry to keep you in suspense. Okay, Milestone Street is the eastern leg of the U. Similar conditions on Western Ave, working with the Tishman's fire team, and they will be coming before the commission. But we've coordinated the intersection to align, including the sidewalk level cycle track coming across the street here. On Milestone Street, the development is on the west side. Is an ADA drop-off and an ADA parking space on this side adjacent to the conference center, the most public of the buildings. So there's connectivity to both the front and side entries of the building. There's a small loading driveway here, again with the City of Boston concrete apron with the sidewalk and cycle track staying at grade. Right here we have, in the initial phase, this was a shuttle pickup drop-off, but longer term, we plan for this to be accommodated. This is designed to accommodate an MBTA bus stop as part of the design. Since it's the ongoing conversations from new business and meetings in between, we've made accommodations to adjust the mid-block crossing. So again, this takes the shared use path across Milestones through the Greenway and across Milestone to the northbound cycle track and the sidewalks. This is now set as a raised crossing. So this is a 6-inch raised crossing that will accommodate this area. Along the side, we have a 7.5-foot sidewalk that does require an easement because of the bus stop and the accommodations. We have a petition also for a sidewalk easement as well, but the sidewalk here is in total 7.5 feet. The easement itself will be 5 feet, so 2.5 feet will be in the right of way. And then there's also plaza areas between this easement and the Treehouse Conference Center. As you continue, I should also point out on Milestone Street that there is a new driveway proposed to connect into the NRI site, the former Genzyme site. Their existing access is through a driveway here, almost immediately adjacent to the proposed Milestone Street. So as part of the project and as part of the West Ave Improvement Project that Tishman Speil will be coming forward with you, this curbing will be closed off and the driveway will be relocated south onto Milestone Street. Again, a raised crossing of that driveway, of the cycle track, and 7.5-foot sidewalk. Lighting, again, will be a little bit tighter spacing than the typical Boston standard to accommodate some more pedestrian level lighting consistent with the Harvard Master Plan for Alston in previous projects. And then further south on Milestone, this again is a drop off. This is at the corner of the lab building and the south end of the Greenway. So again, good connectivity with the Greenway as well as the building, parking along Milestone. And we've made a couple additional modifications in this new business and as we've continued conversations with the city. So this has been modified. This was an apex crossing before. We've shifted it a little bit north and made it a perpendicular crossing to the south. And then we've also made some accommodations or made some additions in terms of pavement markings to continue this down to the driveway. This is the district energy facility here. But to channel the axleway traffic, we've added some additional roadway striping in that area. So that is Milestone Street. And again, similar to Trotting, we do have the ability, well, we will have a connection through axleway of a private way. We do have the ability to turn the fire apparatus within the Milestone right away within the curbing.
Thank you very much, Chris. Do you have, so first of all, thank you for the adjustments here. I think this was felt very responsive to the comments we had at the last meeting, so I appreciate that. One of the things that came up was sight lines going around this curve, and you appreciate that the team here shared a sightline diagram with us. Would you be open to, if you have it handy, can you pull that up so we can put that just on the record and in the recording?
Yes. Let me figure out how to do that.
If not, Todd, I think, has it handy and could pull it up.
Let me just slide it over. So this is the site distance diagram here. The lab building does sit back on this corner. There's an overhang that's about 25 feet up that will come out further, but that's outside of the sight line. So this provides about 183 feet of stopping distance through the line of sight, to any pedestrian crossing. So that line of sight distance would accommodate something in the range of 25 to 30 miles an hour, and this would be based on the roadway geometry and the 40-foot centerline radius, a 15-mile-an-hour speed zone, design speed.
Excellent, thank you. And yeah, appreciate the clarification about the overhang. Just one question related to this while you have this up is, are there any, if you look at this space that sort of sits underneath the overhang and just outside of it, at the kind of apex of that corner, are there any anticipated elements that would exist there on the sidewalk, fencing, structures that might impede those sightlines, or is it anticipated that that whole area will be left clear?
It's anticipated to be left clear. We will definitely check that and make sure that no obstructions are placed within that distance.
Yeah, that would be great to confirm that. Understanding some of this is outside the public right of way, but obviously keeping that area clear is essential for the safe functioning of the public right of way. So we would appreciate clarity, a confirmation on that. Commissioners, questions, comments? All right, hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public.
John Monticelli, go right ahead, sir.
Just a question, and this may or may not be available on hand right now, but could we see the auto turn swept paths for some of those more predictable vehicles? I appreciate you running through the site distance and kind of the design elements here and talking about the space that's kind of hatched out for reservation for the maneuverability. I am a little concerned just about people cutting the corner, and less so in larger vehicles, more so in the smaller ones. I'm just thinking of areas of South Boston and the industrial areas that we are kind of like filling in that get more activity and more pedestrian traffic. And just wondering if there's a way for us to keep folks on the side of the double yellow that they're supposed to be on.
I apologize. I don't have those turning templates handy. We can definitely take a look at that and review that.
Well, thank you so much.
Todd, anything else?
I think we're all set. I know Chung was working with the project on the highway easement for this one also, but they're in the similar place with that.
All right. So what I would suggest related to John's comments is that because, likely any changes that might result from that review of the swept path analysis are through traffic control devices more so than, or striping changes more so than any physical permanent roadway design changes, that we move ahead with this agenda item, but that we take it as a follow-up to sit with John to review those things, and if there are any adjustments made, that the plans, the final plans, would be updated to reflect those. Is that amenable to the proponents?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Well, seeing no other comments or raised hands, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 2?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by President Fellows of Harvard College for the line and grade approval of Milestone Street as read into the record by the chair, contingent on the result of the corner treatment through BTD.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 3, on a petition by the President and Fellows of Harvard College for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in Brighton to be known as Axel Way, located between the southerly terminus of Trotting Avenue and the southerly terminus of Milestone Street. This was new business on October 10th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Layout Approval Plan, Axel Way, Private Way Open to Public, Alston, 3 sheets dated November 7th, 2024. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk us through any changes to these plans since your new business hearing?
Chris Sullivan again with BHB. So Axel Way is intended to be laid out as a private way connecting Trotting Ave and Milestone Street. Axel Way is more of a service road for the ERC, the kind of the east-west roads, but it does connect into serves the parking access for parking underneath the Phase 1 buildings. There's also loading on the north side for the lab buildings, and then on the south side there are driveways around distributed energy facility. Axelway is proposing Sharrow's shared use for bicycles within the east-west connection. The intent there is really to really want to encourage bicyclists to use the shared use path through the Greenway and the connectivity out to the east and the west. We'll also have sidewalks on each side. The north side will have a 6-foot sidewalk, and the south side will have a 8-foot sidewalk. All of the crossings for Axelway the sidewalk crossings will be at grade. There'll be a City of Boston concrete apron to make those grade adjustments. And similar lighting will be consistent again with the Albert-Alston master planning with some tighter spacing to allow for some additional pedestrian level lighting. And that's
Thank you
Axelway.
very much. Commissioners, questions, comments? Seeing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
I see none.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 3?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the President and Fellows of Harvard College for the layout and approval of Axelway as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 4, on a petition by the President and Fellows of Harvard College for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Milestone Street, public way, Brighton, located on its westerly side south of Western Avenue. This was new business on October 10th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, Milestone Street, Alston, one sheet dated August 2024. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves and give us any updates on this proposal since your new business hearing?
Chris Lovett with VHB on behalf of Harvard-Alston Land Company. There have been no changes with the pedestrian easement. This remains a proposed 5.5-foot wide easement, and that combined with the sidewalk to the within the right-of-way will be a 7.5-foot sidewalk, and then behind this is also plaza area, offset from the Treehouse building, Conference Center building.
Commissioners, questions, comments? All right. PIC staff, members of the public?
I believe Chung has commentary on this.
Yeah, hi. My name is Chong Liu, and I'm the legal counsel for the Public Improvement Institute Commission. I have been working with Harvard and its legal counsel to finalize the pedestrian easement. I have no major concerns about that, and thank you.
All right. Todd, any other comments?
No, I think we're all set on this. Thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 4?
Make a motion to approve a petition by the President and Fellows of Harvard College for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in Milestone Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 5, on a petition by the President and Fellows of Harvard College for the vertical discontinuance of portions of Trotting Avenue, public way, Brighton, located generally between Western Avenue and Axelway, vertically beneath the grades of the roadways and sidewalks. New business on October 10th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, vertical discontinuance, Trotting Avenue, public way, Alston, 4 sheets dated November 7th, 2024. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves and give us an update on the vertical discontinuance that was first discussed at our at the new business hearing, and just please also provide a little reminder for everyone on the record of why we are considering vertical discontinuances in this newly approved public way.
Chris Lovett with VHB on behalf of Harvard-Alston Land Company. This proposed vertical discontinuance, in the beginning of the project introduction, we had pointed out the location of Harvard's district energy facilities serving their Alston Holdings on the southern end of the project site. That building, that facility has a lot of infrastructure coming out of it, both chill water supply and return, hot water supply and return, communications, and electrical, primary electrical feeds going out to the buildings, the different campuses within Alston serving the site. So there's a large amount of infrastructure, Harvard private infrastructure that is serving their properties, and there's the business school across the street, but a particular, everything's a particular concern, I guess, but in particular turns the science and engineering complex and ongoing studies and research there, that the need to keep those buildings active, so that all of these utilities are important in terms of maintaining that resiliency and reliability. So the proposal for the vertical discontinuances is to protect those utilities and those corridors and maintain that service to those buildings, and also provide access to those utilities. And then we work with the city around where needed, easements across it, and we've also opened up some corridors. And this plan has definitely changed a lot since new business, and as we appreciate the efforts working with the city to develop a plan that one can really document the limits of it, but two can provide open areas for the city as well. So when we came before this group last time, in particular, this area I think was all blue. That this is the future Science Drive. There's infrastructure that runs all the way out here. This is where the Science and Engineering Complex runs out, and this runs out to the Science and Engineering Complex. And there's future stuff out here as well. So all of that area south of Science Drive had been blue. We've worked with the city and worked with Harvard to try to carve out some additional areas for that. I do want to point out that the solid blue shows up very well on this. In between each of these solid blues is a striped area as well. And what these represent are different elevations with the top of the vertical discontinuance. The bottom remains -100 for all of them, but the top varies so that, one, we make sure we're below the roadway grades, and a little bit of cushion below the roadway grades, but then also not too deep in that we're getting into the utility. So we're trying to work with both the longitudinal grades of the road and the crown of the road. It does lead to us opening up, breaking it into many segments to effectively capture the volume of the vertical discontinuance. In working with the city, we've also added sections to the plans that the blue would indicate where Harvard is requesting the vertical discontinuance, and the white areas within the right-of-way would be the areas that remain open. There is this is in addition to what was presented at new business, and also provides additional corridors for the city to work through this and provide opportunity for future utilities. So that is the vertical discontinuance for Trotting Avenue.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that walkthrough. And yes, this has been probably the most complex and challenging part of this project relating to the development of this plan. So I appreciate the work that's gone into it, and the work that the dialogue that's happened with the city team on this. Commissioners, questions, comments?
Oh, yes, I have a few comments. Thank you. So we asked that PIC doesn't record the vertical discontinuance until Public Utility BWSC obtains a satisfactory easement for pipes within Harvard easement. Because we have, in the blue areas that are shown on the map, what we did was we have our own map. There are definitely some overlaps with BWSC utilities and the vertical discontinuance areas.
We have a slide later that lets us speak to the legal status of agreements, and we're noting that Harvard has drafted and will finalize an easement with the Boston Water and Sewer in coordination with PIC for Boston Water and Sewer Commission's infrastructure that runs through areas of vertical discontinuance.
Okay, thank you.
And we expect that easement to be completed as part of the filing of all of these discontinuances? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think, yeah, the easements would accompany the vertical discontinuances, which would accompany the petition for the city to accept the roads.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, commissioners, other questions, comments? So I will just make one kind of for the record comment. You know, this is a very unusual situation and one that I think from the perspective of the city is a condition that we generally would seek to avoid as an outcome when creating a new public way. We believe that having public ways that above and below ground are generally public is an essential aspect of the city being able to manage both, you know, the roadways, the flow of traffic and pedestrians on those streets, but also to be able to provide areas of that can serve the public interest broadly in terms of utility access or other elements that may need to go underground. And as you know, creating a new public street that starts on day one with significant discontinuance underground impairs our ability to do that. I think we have made as a city a decision to allow this, in the case of this project, given the unique circumstances associated with the district energy facility, given the very unique condition in which substantial utility infrastructure was built prior to the layout of the public way, and with, you know, I think some changes over the years in expectations about what might be public, what might be private. You know, I've heard different versions of that history, but certainly I think, you know, there was a belief on the part of some folks within the proponent team that when this original infrastructure was laid out, that it would be sitting under a private way and therefore not subject to this whole process of discontinuance. So, you know, without diving too deep into the history, I think the thing that is important for me to note here is that this is not a precedent for future projects. This is us working to make the best of a very unusual set of circumstances to ensure that a new street can be created, that substantial pre-existing utility investments by the proponents can be protected, and that we strike a reasonable balance to preserve the maximum utility of this public way for the city and the residents we represent for many years to come. We certainly do not anticipate that any future public ways that are laid out will be that will certainly not be common practice to approve substantial predefined utility discontinuances, and in general we take the position as a city that public ways should be public above and below ground, except in a very limited set of circumstances where we grant rights to utilities to occupy relatively defined and small spaces within those rights of way. So that's my for the record spiel. You know, we are not looking to replicate this condition in the future in other places. With that, Todd, PSC staff, members of the public, anyone else like to add anything?
I will just mention, due to the complexity of these vertical discontinuance plans, there is some refinement that the project does need to go through, adding meets and bounds descriptions and stuff like that, which was, you know, maybe not necessarily the most critical thing to show on these plans for this presentation, but does need to be part of what is reported eventually. So because of that, these plans are not necessarily final, and the number of sheets and the titles and all of that might be slightly updated prior to recording. So just for the record, that's something to keep in mind.
But this does, with the update based on our conversations, we did add the meets and bounds on the line work, but we do need to add the legal description per our discussion. So we will be doing that, providing a legal description for each of the components.
Of course. Yep, no, I know you're working on that, and I'll work with you to get those finalized before you run out final milers.
Excellent, thank you.
It can be a lot of text. All right. With that, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 6?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the presidents and fellows of Harvard College for the vertical discontinuance of portions of Trotting Ave, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to public hearing number 6. I may have misread that.
I read the right one, you said the right
Thank you,
number.
Amy.
I read the
All
right.
right. On to actual public hearing number 6, on a petition by the president and fellows of Harvard College for the vertical discontinuance of portions of Milestone Street, public way, Brighton, located generally between Western Avenue and Axel Way, vertically beneath the grades of the roadways and sidewalks. This was new business on October 10th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Vertical Discontinuance, Milestone Street, Public Way, Alston, 5 sheets dated November 7th, 2024. Petitioners, please reintroduce themselves and their affiliations and walk us through the details and changes since your new business hearing.
Chris Lovett with VHB on behalf of Harvard Alston Land Company. This is a requested, the petition for a vertical discontinuance on Milestone Street. As discussed in the project overview, Milestone Street is one of the corridors, utility corridors for the district energy facility that sits just south of this site. So there's existing utilities running through this corridor and actually underneath Western Ave, where there already is a vertical discontinuance and connecting into the business school. Again, this plan has changed a lot since new business, working closely with PIC, and we very much appreciate the patience going through the process. But again, we've broken this up into a number of segments, making sure that we're, and again, there's some hatch that may not show great on this slide, but this hatching between the solid blue pieces, each of these are segments with the vertical delineation that is underneath the level of the pavement, but over the utilities, and those are the discontinuance areas. So there are a number of them for this particular, for Milestone Street. It does include the challenge of some services that come off the main lines that go up to the treehouse, as well as this site out here, where we make vertical accommodations to allow for passage over it within the corridors, particularly of the lighting and the drainage. So these are typical sections across each of those breakouts. There are areas where we drop it lower, for instance, for city lighting. And then there are corridors in between. Some of that is Boston Water and Sewer Utilities, which currently have easements, which the easements will go away when the roads are accepted by the city. But we will continue to work with the city to make sure that this corridor is for the infrastructure. This represents the kind of the funky areas where we do have those service connections. So we do have cutouts to allow for city infrastructure to go above these. And these go down at least 6 feet. These will be, as part of the ongoing comments, these will be broken up to provide these as separate areas in order to allow us to better describe or more clearly describe the vertical upper end of the different segments. So instead of this being one section, this is actually multiple sections through here, and that'll be updated on the plan, and with these sections.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, questions, comments?
Oh, yes, I just had a comment, but I just want to say thank you for responding to the comments from the last petition. We just want to state it again for the record, just because it's a different petition. that we don't want the vertical discontinuance recorded until the public utility BWSC obtains a satisfactory easement for pipes within Harvard easement, where there's some overlap between the vertical discontinuance and our facilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will not repeat my spiel, but I will just again, for the record, say that this is an exceptional set of circumstances that is leading to us creating a set of vertical discontinuances on a newly created public way, and not one that we wish or expect to repeat in future projects, per my comments in the previous agenda item. Commissioners, any other comments? PIC staff or members of the public?
I'll just mention the same point about the plans and descriptions and everything may be tweaked once everything is finalized.
All right, hearing nothing else, do I hear a motion to approve actual public hearing number 6?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the president and fellows of Harvard College for the vertical discontinuance in portions of Milestone Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? All right, so moved. We got it done. Thank you all again from the Harvard team for working through all of these some very challenging issues with us over the course of a number of years. So appreciate the work and the dialogue, and glad that we're able to move this ahead.
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to take this moment to thank Chair Franklin Hodge, members of the commission, the city departments, Chief Engineer Todd Liming, who was critical to us getting these plans in a position for the PIC to be able to review and approve. PIC legal counsel Chong Liu, who was also critical to us working towards making sure that all of the easements and agreements are in a good place. Boston Water and Sewer Chief Engineer John Sullivan, our stellar design team led by Chris Lovett and VHB, our council, our internal stakeholders who contributed many hours to this process. A lot of folks were involved, a lot of folks spent a lot of time trying to make sure that we were getting this right. So just wanted to take time to thank those folks, and that we look forward to continued collaboration with the PIC for all of the future phases for Harvard's Enterprise Research Campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Shailen, very much. I appreciate the acknowledgement and the work that you put in as well to make this happen. So much appreciated. All right, moving on to public hearing number 7 on a petition by the trustees of Boston University for the making of specific repairs within Commonwealth Avenue, public way, Boston proper, located on its southerly side at address number 700, generally across from Granby Street, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction with structural soil, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, planters, landscaping, storm drain infrastructure, bike racks, and raised crosswalks. This was new business on October 24th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan, 700 Commonwealth Avenue, Public Way, Boston proper, 6 sheets dated August 2024. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us a very brief reintroduction to the project, and let us know about any changes since your new business hearing.
Sure. Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Cecilia Nardi, and I'm the Director of Community Relations for Boston University Government and Community Affairs. We're here today to continue the presentation from October 24th on the streetscape improvements that will accompany our renovation of Warren Towers at 700 Commonwealth Avenue. These improvements will continue BU's long-standing tradition of working collaboratively with the City of Boston to enhance public spaces and the streetscape along key corridors. A quick description of the project: constructed in 1965, Warren Towers is the largest dormitory in Boston and the second largest non-military dormitory in the US, housing 1,800 undergraduate students. The project site borders Commonwealth Avenue to the north, Cummington Mall to the south and west, and Hinsdale Mall to the east. The 18-story structure features 3 residential towers atop a 4-story podium, which includes student spaces, retail storefronts, and a parking garage. The proposed streetscape improvements will elevate both the campus environment and the public realm along this prominent corridor. We'd like to thank all city staff for their thoughtful review and valuable comments throughout this process, and appreciate your time today. I'll now turn it over to Chelsea Christensen of Pitch Engineering.
Good morning, Chelsea Christensen, Niche Engineering. Can everyone see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. It's not showing me for some reason. Okay, just for context, I have Warren Tower site here highlighted in red with the VU Bridge to the left, Mass Ave Bridge to the right. Thank you, Sid, for the introduction. Our specific repairs today include a new raised crossing at Cummington Mall and Hinsdale Mall with extended planters, new porous paver strip, approximately a 12-foot wide concrete sidewalk along the length of Warren Towers, as well as new bike racks, relocated street lighting, and new pedestrian ramps. I did send out the updated plans to everyone. There have not been any changes since new business, but these are the specific repair plans that we have all seen. The raised crossing here at Cummington Mall, 10-foot wide pedestrian ramp with the straightened crosswalks going across Commonwealth Avenue. Reset planters designed to accept stormwater where they can. New bike racks along the porous paver strip. Resetting the streetlights outside of the porous paver strip as requested. And we also did, we are relocating the bus stop that is currently located at this area here, down further to the east of Com Ave is the expected location of it.
What you're saying is that,
With that, I will open it up to any additional questions that we may have.
Commissioners, questions, comments?
the people that stuck on, I'm not sure.
All right, hearing none, PIC staff or members of the public?
I think we're all set on this.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 7?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by the trustees of Boston University for the making of specific repairs within Commonwealth Avenue as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
All right, on to public hearing number 8 on a petition by residences at 1471 Blue Hill Limited Partnership for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Dorchester, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, planters, landscaping, green stormwater infrastructure, bike racks, and driveway curb cuts. Blue Hill Avenue at address number 1471, generally north of Woodhaven Street, Culbert Street northwest of Woodhaven Street, Woodhaven Street generally at Blue Hill Avenue / Culbert Street. This was new business on October 24th as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan 1471 Blue Hill Avenue, Culbert Street, Mattapan. 2 sheets dated March 22nd, 2024, revised November 2024. The proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us a brief orientation to the project, and let us know about any changes since your new business hearing.
Good morning. I'm Katie Cruz, civil engineer with Hancock Associates, here with Scott Shaw of the proponent Lincoln Avenue Capital. The proposed project is located at the corner of Culbert Street and Blue Hill Avenue. It's also adjacent to Woodhaven Street. The project is 41 affordable housing units. The project site will include 12 parking spaces and a curb cut off of Culbert Street. Since we last presented, we made some adjustments to the alignment of the 3 curb ramps at the corner of Blue Hill Avenue, Culbert Street, and Woodhaven Street so that they are aligned with the existing crosswalks. That adjusted the curb line a little bit to accommodate for that. We also modified the material between the curb ramps per the request of the Disabilities Commission, we've switched that to porous concrete. Other than that, other than some minor layout adjustments to accommodate the new curb line, the plans have not changed.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioners, comments, questions?
I just wanted to thank the team for incorporating our feedback about the furnishing zone and making that a more porous material. I did have a question about the width of the driveway and whether or not that could be narrowed due to the small amount of parking spaces that exist on site. If in the future that could be narrowed down to 12 or 10 feet with approval from the Transportation Department.
Yes, Sarah, we did look at reducing the width of that driveway, and we elected not to for a couple of reasons. One is that we do need that width of the aisle behind the parking spaces for cars to maneuver in and out of those spaces. And then the other is that we have a loading area on the side of that driveway, and just to be able to accommodate that in two-way traffic, we felt like that we needed that width of 20 feet.
Right, thank you. I guess I would just maybe defer to Amy on that.
Yeah, I think the question is, right, like, hearing the internal needs, right, like what appears at the curb line and what appears once you are on at the back of the sidewalk, I think is the question here, right? If you leave the 20 feet and the things that are all in gray, can we just reduce the size of the curb cut and the pedestrian exposure to vehicles coming out of this driveway?
Yes, understood. And I think just because this is a very small scale site, a small scale project, to allow for moving trucks to pull in there, as well as trash removal vehicles, it's just having that 20-foot width makes that maneuver a lot more easy to accommodate that use right off of the curb cut. But we do appreciate that comment.
Was this dimension select based on truck turning movements?
Yes, it was.
Great, then can you please supply those as backup for this?
Yes, we can.
All right. Commissioners, other questions? PIC staff or members of the public?
I will mention that the project has gone through quite a few conversations with us specific to the pedestrian ramps and crosswalk alignments and all of that. We met with infrastructure and designs consultants a few days ago regarding the crosswalks and ramps specifically. They've worked on it a lot. I don't know if any of the commission members have commentary that they'd like to add regarding all of that, but thought it was worth mentioning.
No, I think the only thing I'll flag, and Todd flagged this everywhere, right, it comes up, is that we have some other stuff happening on Blue Hill Ave, and to make sure that the timing and what shows up when is all well coordinated with that effort. So I know that that's right, like, we're going to approve this, but we just want to make sure that you're constantly a part of the ongoing Blue Hill Ave discussion.
Okay. I think there's a little bit of minor discussion regarding some of the ramps and the crosswalk alignment on the kind of opposite side of Blue Hill Ave. The project team, I'm happy to continue that conversation with you, and we can, tweak what's shown on these plans based on that conversation after this hearing, if that's all right with the commission.
Yep. Is that good with everyone? Concerns?
Yeah, and I'd also just like to extend my appreciation for the changes that we do see here. I think aligning or just resetting the curb, this is a much better shape, and the crosswalks and their ramps are looking much better in general. So just thank you to the team for your responsiveness on that. And I will just second Todd's comment that I think, yeah, just that far side ramp that goes from the median to the other side of Blue Hill Ave is still has a weird alignment, but that's a relatively minor thing at this point. This is much improved.
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, hearing nothing else, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 8?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by residences at 1471 Blue Hill Limited Partnership for the making of specific repairs in Blue Hill Ave, Culver Street, and Woodhaven Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, that concludes the public hearing section of the agenda, and on to new business, and possibly the most fun agenda item on our list today. We have new business 1, Washington Street, Winter Street, Summer Street, Franklin Street, Boston proper, specific repairs on a petition by Downtown Boston Business Improvement District. The proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and talk to us about what you are proposing to put in Downtown Crossing.
Sure. Thank you, Chief. Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. I'm Michael Nichols, President of the Downtown BID, and on behalf of my colleague Kelsey Premick and I, we're delighted to be with you today to share plans for a new set of distinctive holiday decorations for the shopping district in Downtown Crossing. We've appreciated our detail-oriented conversations with many of the city officials on the line, and thank Todd and Ashley for all your help in fully understanding the requirements for ensuring that this activation can be a safe and successful component of the fabric of downtown this year and in years to come. We have engaged the professional support of Niche Engineering on this proposal, and so I'd like to turn it over to Ryan Gordon for our formal presentation on behalf of the Downtown BID, but thank you all for your consideration.
All right, good morning to the Commission and everyone. My name is Ryan Gordon, Project Manager with Niche Engineering. And as Michael said, we are proposing specific repairs to Washington Street, Winter Street, Summer Street, and Franklin Street for the installation of 12 statues. They are to be installed annually from mid-November through the end of December. The statue bases are 55 inches wide by 17 inches high, set on steel plates with 4 anchor bolts. Each statue is about 16 feet tall, and the BID has been coordinating directly with Boston Street Lighting for power sources to each statue, to City of Boston Street Lights. The locations that we are proposing provide a minimum of 5 feet clear pedestrian path of travel, and when the statues are not installed, there will be flat-headed anchors installed where the bolts are, so that flush sidewalk conditions are provided. So I'm going to walk through each location, and if you have any questions, please let me know. So the first location is next to the Modern Theater, 515 Washington Street. And we have an X at each location that shows the approximate location. Each statue is set about 5 to 10 feet off of the nearest light pole. The second location is at 500 Washington Street, outside of the Winder Museum. The third location is at 449 to 467 Washington Street, outside of the old Forever 21 in Snipes. And we are using the furnishing zone as much as possible to get that statue base to not, get into the pedestrian path of travel. The fourth location is on Winter Street, and Winter Street here is mainly open for pedestrian travel. The curb is flush, and most of the street is brick. The next 4 locations are spaced throughout Summer Street Plaza. You can see the 4 here. The next location is outside of 399 Washington Street. That's across from Old Navy. The next two are in Shoppers Plaza, and they're spaced apart, still providing that minimum 5 feet around. And the last location is outside of 343 Washington Street. And just to show you again, here's an image of each of the statues front facing and profile view. And our specific repairs plans has, a detail of the base, the anchor bolt, and, a rough detail of the, minimum 5-foot path of travel. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. These are very cool to see, and very excited for 16-foot statuary downtown. Couple of questions. So first, these are powered and illuminated, correct?
Correct.
And the power feed is coming from the city street lighting system?
Correct.
And so just to confirm, will all of those power feeds happen underground?
I will let Kelsey or Michael speak to this. Yeah.
Yeah, in I think all cases, or all but perhaps the ones that are on the stage at the steps next to Millennium Tower, the other 10, it would actually emanate out of the head at the 16-foot level and reach the street light pole at that height.
Got it, yeah. When your statue is that tall, you can actually just bridge to get there. That's fair. Okay, and my understanding is that you have reviewed this plan with the City Street Lighting Division and that they have signed off on all of the details of the power arrangements, and that there is a understanding about who is responsible for wiring, for maintenance, for addressing any power supply issues that may occur while the statues are installed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Related sort of to the street lighting aspect of this, it looks like from the details, some of these base locations are positioned over some underground infrastructure, potentially some street lighting conduit. And I guess I'm just interested in sort of hearing this group's thoughts on how we would address any maintenance issues that might arise in the future related to underground infrastructure beneath these bases, what the expectations are for how these bases can be removed or reset, and what the proponent's understanding is of who will have the responsibility for reinstallation if, for example, we need to remove a base in order to repair a conduit that's underneath.
So I'll add, Niche Engineering looked at the locations of the existing utilities that are in the sidewalks. We understand that utility companies and, especially Boston Water and Sewer utilities, we need to maintain access to those when needed. The statues are removable because they'll be, bolted into the ground. And I guess I'll let Michael speak to, if, any coordination needed to ensure that happens if any of the utility companies need access to their facilities. We didn't place any of the statues over any, structures, over any manhole covers or anything like that. So they were placed intentionally to avoid those.
That's right. Yeah, Ryan landed where I would have started, which is that I think the siting was selected to factor in the minimal likelihood of conflict with the underground utilities. In the event that there is a conflict, however, the bid would be responsible for removal and reinstallation of the sculptures as appropriate.
Got it, and that includes the bases, so in the event that a base was removed during a utility construction, that the responsibility for reinstalling those would be borne by the bid.
That's right. So entirely to be responsible by the bid. The sculptures themselves, for what it's worth, come in 3 pieces, so they are not a sort of single fixed unit, making de-installation sort of relatively straightforward and easy.
All right, I appreciate that, and we can memorialize that in the LMI. The other thing I would just ask is that we have we established some procedures for the city to contact the bid if there are, for example, emergency utility work that's needed, that we just have a way, an established way to get in touch with you. We have all those protocols in place for the traditional utilities, and but this is something new, so we'll just want to make sure that's close at hand. My last question relates to the plates that will be permanently installed in the street and the surface treatment of those plates. Concern would be around creating slipping hazards during wet or icy conditions if there's not a sufficiently anti-slip treatment on the top surface of those. Understanding they're mostly in the furnishing zone. Downtown Crossing, as we all know, is very porous for pedestrians, and people walk through the furnishing zone on a regular basis. So can you just speak to the materials and what is going to be done to ensure that they do not create a hazard?
Ryan may be able to speak to some of the elements, but I'd say it's our understanding that the rounded base on which, so to see it in the upper right of the image there, that the feet stand on, occupy the vast majority of the square footage of the metal plate that sits underneath that base. And so I think the likelihood of even sort of the amount of sort of square footage for someone to be able to step on it is so minimal as to perhaps not be a slipping hazard. We certainly can explore for the amount of the metal that does remain exposed, treating it, with an appropriate slip-proof material.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding the plan, but there's a square, per the detail, there's what appears to be a square metal plate on which the rounded base will be installed. Right. And agree the concern is less about when that rounded base is installed, but is that square metal plate intended to remain when the statues are not installed?
No.
No, okay.
It would be removed in the other 11 months of the year.
Got it. Okay. So the bolt that attaches, or the bolts that attach that metal plate to the sidewalk, will be filled in with some kind of temporary cover that is flush to the sidewalk, and there will not remain any, beyond that, there will not be any visible structure on the sidewalk when the statue is removed. Okay, got it. I think I misunderstood. I sort of under the impression that the metal plate would remain, but I think that clarifies, and that's helpful. It is something I just would, think about as a, we've occasionally had issues with city infrastructure where during the period of installation or deinstallation, elements have been left in the right-of-way that have proved to be hazardous, whereas the final condition of the plate, the round base, and the statue does not necessarily pose a slipping hazard. I'm not sure what the installation timeline might be, or in a circumstance where, let's say, one of the statues was damaged and the statue had to be temporarily removed, but the plate was left in place. So I would just want to think through how, if there's any additional treatments or protocols that we would want to establish for how the site will be insured, how we ensure that the site stays safe if, for whatever reason, it is not in its sort of fully installed condition for some period of time. That could be, placing a traffic cone on it and just having that as an established practice, or in some other way making sure that it's safe. But we have had some issues recently with newly installed infrastructure having some unfavorable conditions for pedestrians in wet weather, and I just want to avoid even a temporary situation where where somebody slips and falls as a result of that. So I don't want to prescribe a very specific course of action here, but would ask that for your next hearing, you just come with a plan that you can articulate to us around that.
We'll commit to that, and we appreciate the prompt.
Thank you. Commissioners, other questions, comments?
My computer froze up. I apologize if this was covered, but in the event there's vandalism such as graffiti, I presume you all have the capability to remove it and keep the structures clean?
That's right, we'll commit to that.
Thank you.
We received a separate application for other winter temporary art in this location, so I think we should also just take a moment to make sure that we're not stacking our winter art. A great problem for Downtown Crossing to have, but yeah, no, just making sure that they're compatible.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. That was us as well. So
Yeah, no, I figured, but as we talk about where that's going to fall,
Sure.
right, like I just want to make sure that we're well coordinated.
Right, I just wanted to flag that, so at least in terms of deinstall of these and install of subsequent winter art, that's something that we would sequence to ensure that there isn't direct conflict here. But we certainly commit to sort of any aggregated review that you think makes sense. The winter art that you're referring to has become it's now a second, hopefully annual set of installations, but the locations of those change each year, and I think we'll certainly in this year and in future years plan for those with an understanding that the sculptures would be coming back each year.
And the car with the satellite crashed into it is also you?
That's us.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I'll just make sure that we're all together.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioners, other questions, comments? PIC staff or members of the public?
I would just ask that the bid reach out to Public Works' operations team to make sure that they're aware of these and that these aren't going to pose any issues as far as snow plowing or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We had noted, to Amy's point, we had noted in the public art application, but perhaps not in this application, that the bid maintains snow removal abilities, and so if any of our infrastructure causes hardship to Public Works in that area, that we would fill in the gap and be responsible for that. So we will relay that to them. Todd, thank you.
Great,
I appreciate that, and we will, Todd can provide contact information for folks, and I think that to Joe's point about the graffiti and other things, there's many issues in the public realm tend to sort of trickle down to the Public Works operations team as a, what do we do about this? So just making sure that they have all the right contact information and the protocols to be able to kick stuff over to you as appropriate if there are issues that land in their lap. They will appreciate planning for that.
They know how to find us on graffiti removal and
Fair enough.
other things downtown. So definitely happy to continue that conversation.
Yeah, fair enough. Excellent. All right, well, hearing no other questions or seeing no other comments, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on November 21st?
Ready and eager.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you very much. Very excited to see the personal comments, slightly bonkers, but super fun public art program of the bid continuing to grow, and very excited to see these downtown, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for your public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, and with that, I think we have reached the end of our agenda. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? All right, we're out. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.